Aloha, everyone. Joshua Hayes at BigWaveTrading.com. It was, in fact, indeed, it was too good to be true. That PLTR swing trade that I talked about on Friday, that I noticed everybody else kind of talking about too, was, in fact, too good to be true. And after initially trying to work, did roll over and fail. So I took a loss there, had a bigger position size, but overall, because it did this kind of doji day, followed by another doji day, I was able to get two tight stops up here to protect the capital in case it didn't work immediately. And whenever it had this session, then 50% of the remaining stops went here. The final piece was right here, had another piece right there. And I know that seems like it's a little too tight, but you got to remember, I took a bigger position size and I expected it to work right away. And I warned this setup seemed too good to be true. And I saw way too many people talking about it during the weekend. So, following yesterday's session, no real surprise, but that failure was on top of something else that happened right after it. LRN set up for me on Monday, and I made mention to all members on Monday. This is a nice pocket pivot point signal. However, it would have been better to have had it the day before when you had the hammer candle off basically price support lows with the heavier volume. And the other thing that I was not that into was the relative strength line. Had a series of lower highs and lower lows. It triggered me in and failed all in one day. And it was immediate trigger, fill, and fail. The good news is that day I was basically fully invested across the board, fully on margin. PLTR took the remaining account capital. So there was very little capital put into LRN on my end, which made that good. However, LRN was then followed up by a signal that I received in BFC. BFC was canned some quality. I put a trigger over 116.99, the highs of the recent move higher. And while it didn't trigger and fill, if I would have used this session's high day 116.79 like I normally do, but because LRN happened the session before, I wanted to make sure that it cleared all resistance before going long. However, had I not done that and instead would have used the high of the day of this session, that would have been another two immediately in a row. Trigger, fill, fail. So would have been it's very rare. I can't actually remember the last time that's happened, but it's a red flag short term that I need to be careful with new long signals. Now, later on this week, I did get a signal, a swing signal in IDCC. That so far is working. This was the day we went long. That was working. So we did get one long signal there. And then yesterday, I did a buy stop on TGLS, not above that line high, but above yesterday's high day, 88.14, as it aligned with this previous high here at 88.14 on May 28th. TGLS, it was extremely high quality canceling name, but more important, why that line is on there is because it's in my weekly squeeze scan. And right now, after that PLTR, LRN, BFC trade, even though IDCC is kind of working, not really exploding higher, but it's not what I expected it to do, and that TGLS reversal, it's definitely market that even though the IWM looks fantastic, and this is wonderful for our long-term and quarterly portfolios. Quarterly portfolios are always fully invested. Long-term portfolios got fully invested near the lows, got fully invested actually on the day of the lows since the market sell-off started. Great for that end, but on a swing side, this past week, the IWM was up 3.33%. My account was not up that much. So, for the first time since that bottom, some underperformance in the swing account. That being said, we're still fully invested, and that's a good thing because I actually do not have any new long signals for Monday's session. But there's a lot of good looking stock charts out there. Interactive Brokers, beautiful base, CYBR keeps hitting new highs. WAY got a cup with low handle, but that's been normal. RKLB, which is a name I'm still long, that had a nice pocket pivot point signal on Friday session. In that same industry group, ACHR, nice bounce near the 50 SMA pocket pivot point signal, and then nice base here with Dan. SEI, very, very nice. CCRD, So there's a lot of good looking stocks out there, BLK. So I would expect this market to continue higher, but to say that it's been rough, is an understatement. I know somebody that was long Tesla before yesterday, and they were up nearly 25% on their position, and they left with a 7% loss. And that kind of sums up this past week of trading in the overall market. So while I don't have, don't forget, not to mention another name that I should have been long, EAT. I got too cute with the buy stops, and made my buy stop 156 when it should have been in 156.81 using the limit offset, which would allowed me to get filled in this position, and I would be long EAT. And then let's not also forget, I biffed Roblox, which is really anytime it's a well-known name that we know. Like, I'm long Dash, so I bought Dash, and I'm long Dash on the breakout. Happened here, squatted at first, but now it's working. But anytime there's a stock with a major name in the scan like DoorDash, MicroStrategy, still haven't called on the buy stop again yet, but I'm watching that closely. And I think that's the only one. Chewy, but Chewy never did consolidate, so it really doesn't count. But anytime you get a household name in this scan that's in a buyable position, those are the ones that you really load up on. So there's no excuse about this one. And don't forget, I was also going to get long CRS, and so, hasn't been simple for sure. So let's just run through the scan, and then we'll wrap up this video lesson. Is there anything actionable for my weekly squeeze scan? We actually had 4 stocks enter the scan this past week, 2 on Thursday, 2 on Friday. The ones from Thursday were ASTS. I really like this one. This goes back to that space theme, ACHR, aviation thing, whatever you want to call it. But ASTS, I like this one. Wouldn't consider it like a major name. Goosehead Insurance, wouldn't consider this a major name, but we'll keep this on watch. GH, which I believe is a Kathy Wood name too, and MRCY entered today, but it's extended, so there's no consolidation. So let's see, is there anything to work with? CRS, gone. MSTR, not yet. ATGE, got long, still long, a little piece of the position. Final stop right here, but couldn't get a major position ahead of earnings. It's a binary event. What are you going to do? UTI, flat base, nothing to do there. EAT, nothing to do. ALNY, just wedging higher. CRK, tried a flat base, but I was hoping the 50 would catch up. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. MRCY, we already reviewed. FEIM, I am long. It's holding in, isn't doing much, but hasn't failed yet. The 50 SMA will be my get out of Dodge signal. TGLS, this was added today, so I'm long, but I got to put a stop here on that squat. I'm going to put a stop here or here. I'll probably do a 33% there, 33% here, the final 33% right at this low. But TGLS, high quality, can slim name. Really like the cup with handle that is formed here, but it's not a household name. AGX, no pullback. Goosehead, like I said, or GH, need a handle to form now. Would be interested in this one. Goosehead needed to get further up on the right side, similar to AGX, but never form a handle. Roblox, spites my face every time I look at it. APEI, good, nothing to do. RDVT, got a great signal here right before earnings. Maybe I'll get long the next one. FTNT, it's getting there. Do want to do a buy stop on this, but I don't like the volume profile actually in this consolidation. Maybe later on. CDTX, nothing to do there. Vert, maybe. Still too early for me. Chewy, no pullback. IRS, not interested. VEON, not interested as of right now. ASTS, too early. DoorDash, I'm long. TGS, nothing to do here. QFIN, nothing to do here. BBW, another one that entered the scan right before earnings, so couldn't get long using a buy stop above the recent highs. And LMB just continues on, continuing on. All right, we'll wrap the video lesson up there. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend, everybody. We'll get back at it on Monday.